Dubey sir, now you can start.
Okay, I think I can getting lots of disturbance from some place. I don't know. Kamlesh, can we mute this? I don't know.
No disturbance now, sir.
Okay. So good evening, friends. I'm going to play a video of Krishnaji, which is on seeing the dangers of conditioning. So I will straight away go and share the screen with this video. And after the video is over, we can have a dialogue around this one. Are you able to see it?
So let's talk about conditioning. As the gentleman pointed out just now, we went to a certain extent and we were rather driven off our course. Like that gentleman asked, I've listened to you for a number of years and there's nothing. I must tell you a lovely story about this. A pupil goes to a teacher and says, teach me what is truth. And he says, all right, stay with me. We'll talk, we'll have a conversation about the universe, about the beauty of man, so on. So we'll talk, and perhaps you will see truth. So the teacher talks to him every day and goes into various things. At the end of 15 years, he says, Master, I've lived with you for 15 years, watched you, listened to you, see you how you act, do this and do that, but I haven't got truth. So I'm leaving. There's a man a few miles further away where I'm going to learn from him the truth. So this is, the teacher says, certainly. So I'm leaving. There's a man a few miles further away where I'm going to learn from him the truth. So this is, the teacher says, certainly. So he's away for 5 years and comes back to the original teacher. And he says, I've found it. And he says, really? Have you found it? Yes. He said, there is that river. They were standing on the banks of river. There is that river. And I can walk across it. I found it. He said, the teacher then says, you have taken 5 years to learn this and more? Yes. And the teacher says, there's a boat, if you pay a cent or you'll cross it. Right? Got it? Most of us are like that. We pay enormous efforts to do things where it's so simple. Now let's start about conditioning. We explained very carefully what is the meaning of that word. Physically, we are conditioned. You're a man, you are a woman, I'm a man. You are short, I'm tall, or brown, white, plink, or whatever it is. So that's part of our condition. Normal, healthy, natural. We are talking about psychological conditioning, which is the mind being conditioned. The mind being our feelings, our sensations, our emotions, imagination, and the intellectual concepts, the fears, the anxieties, the guilt, the hurts, and so on, so on. Is all that part of our conditioning, psychological, which may be called consciousness, right? We are using ordinary words. If you want me to use different sets of words, I can use it. But let's stick to the ordinary original meaning, which is the mind, which includes thought, feeling, imagination, romanticism, and the sensations. So it is limited. That is limited by the culture in which it lives, right? The country in which it lives, the tradition, the superstition, the religion, the economic condition, the social structure. Do this, don't do that, this is right, this is wrong, from the family extent, right? All that is in there are the contents of our mind, contents of our consciousness, right? That's clear and simple. So a mind that is cultured, that is brought up in a limited sense, which is the conditioning. When we use the condition, it implies limited, conditioned. It's not extensive, it's not universal, global. It's limited, conditioned, right? Now, when one's mind is so conditioned and your mind is so conditioned, there is division. Obviously, I am an Arab and you are a Jew. Both Semitic races, but divided by language, by race, by prejudice, by beliefs, by dogmas. I believe in the Prophet, you believe in something else. And I'm willing to fight you, kill you, and you believe, right? That is part of our conditioning. Now we are asking, please just listen. Don't agree or disagree, just find out. I'm asking you, or you're asking yourself, do you know your condition? Or somebody is telling you your condition. You see the difference? I wonder if you see the difference. Right? Do you see the difference? Is it your own discovery, or somebody has discovered this and tells you about it, and with which you agree? See the difference? Long before the World War, the Second World War, a very famous journalist came to see me, see the speaker. And we were talking about various things that are happening in the world. He was a very, very intelligent man, very well known. And I brought this question of conditioning. And he said, Only the Indian mind can think that. You understand? See the, we were talking about conditioning of man, whether you could, etc. So immediately, you find he never applied it to himself, but it is the capacity of the Indian mind that goes into such subtleties. So I'm asking you whether you are being told about it and therefore you realize it, or you realize for yourself that you are conditioned. If you are told about it and agree, that has one effect, a superficial effect, a devious effect, a doubtful effect, a skeptical effect. Say, yes, you say so, but so-and-so doesn't say so. I prefer the other. Or if you yourself realize it, it is so, it is so. Doesn't matter, a million people can say nonsense. It is so. It's like being hungry. Others can say, sorry, you're not hungry, you're boy, you're pretending. But if I'm hungry, I know it. You see the difference? So let's be very clear that we see the difference. Now, if you see the difference, that you yourself, by looking at the world, what's happening in the world, the culture, the tradition, the superstition, the religious nonsense, and so on, so on, so on, and you realize, I am that. Right? Wait, let me finish that. Un momento, let me finish what we're talking about conditioning, and then you can then argue or question whatever you wish. So let us be very clear that the condition is not imposed on you, persuaded by another, logically, illogically, or rationally, or merely he wants to tell you a story. That's one thing. The other is for oneself to see the danger of being conditioned. Understand? Do you see that? For yourself. Yes. Huh? All right, all right. That's what this gentleman says. Yes, you don't have to tell me. I know I'm conditioned. Yes, yes, we went into that yesterday. How can you know that you are conditioned if I am conditioned? You follow the question? He says, how do you know or aware that you are conditioned? If you don't observe it as something separate from you, then you can say, I know. But if you yourself are conditioned, how can you say I'm conditioned? You see the problem? No? No, I'll have to explain. Everything has got to explain. Huh? You see the difficulty? If I say to myself, if I see that the entity that is speaking is conditioned, how do you know? How do I know that I'm conditioned? It's only when I look at it as something outside of myself, then I can say I'm conditioned. Am I explaining your question properly, sir? Yes. You understand? This is not being subtle, this is being simple about it. How do you know that you are in pain? Somebody tell you that you're in pain? Or is pain, wait a minute, separate from you who says, I'm in pain? You follow what I'm saying? Somebody puts a pin in your leg and you have pain. Pain is through nerves and so on to the brain, and you say, then pain. You know pain for itself, right? Caused by a physical incident, accident, or pain of grief, and so on, so on. So you know when you have pain. So can't you know equally that this conditioning is there? Either you approach it from outer, you follow? The results of conditioning from the outer, wars, division, conflict. You're a Muslim, I'm a Hindu with Catholic Protestant. From the outer, move to the inner and say, see, logically, this sense of separation, which is the conditioning, creates pain, conflict. So then you inquire what are the reasons of this conflict. Then you discover it is because human beings are conditioned. Catholic, Protestant, Hindu, Muslim, Arab, Jew, wife, all the rest of it. So you become, there is an awareness that conditioning itself like pain is there. Right? Have I made myself clear? So let's proceed from there. Now, the next question is, that is, nobody is telling you, you know it, as you know pain. Then why not leave it alone? Why not leave this conditioning alone? There are some good conditioning, as the gentleman said yesterday. I'll keep those good conditionings and reject those unpleasant conditionings, right? Please see this. I will reject the unpleasant conditionings and keep the pleasant, right? Right? That's what he said. Now, who chooses? You understand my question? Say, this I will keep, this I won't keep. Again, the entity was conditioned. So, choice is conditioning. I wonder if you see that. There we go. See, you see that, sir? Any form of psychological choice is conditioned. I will keep these and I will reject those, which is based on choice. The choice is the result either of pleasure, gratifying, or is painful, so I throw those away. We are talking of the total conditioning, not just the pleasant ones and the unpleasant ones. From that, next question is it possible, having listened to all this very carefully, understood everything in detail that we have described, then you ask, is it possible to be unconditioned? Both at the superficial level of consciousness and also at the deeper layers, deeper, at the greater depth of consciousness. That is totally. You ask this question not out of idle curiosity, but you see what conditioning has done in the world. Right? $400 billion every year spent on armament. God, do you realize what it means? I don't think you do. That is the condition. Each protecting self. Throw it away. Have you? Yes. She says, just throw it away. Is it so easy? As you throw a dirty handkerchief or a dirty piece of paper, just throw it away. Is it so easy? I wish it were. You mean to say a man who has been a Catholic or a woman who has been carefully baptized, brought up in Catholicism, practicing Catholicism, soaked in it, that's his conditioning. Say, just drop it all. Will you do it? So please.
Seems to go beyond that perception. I can perceive the conditioning, perceive the reality. Yet it recurs.
No, I'm going to that. It recurs because one doesn't see the complete danger of it. It never recurs to throw yourself down a precipice, does it? Huh? Once you see the danger of a precipice, it's finished. Right? You never say, well, I'll try again. So the question is, why don't you see totally, completely the danger of condition? The entirety, not just little bits and little bits. Because you are still in that position, keeping some which are present and putting away the others which are not. So you're playing a game with yourself. Right? So can you see for yourself? And the seeing of it is the essence of intelligence. That conditioning is a tremendous danger to man. You have very good examples. Man is human beings are spending $400 billion every year on armaments. And you can say, what can I do about it? Right? But you elect the politicians. If you felt the tremendous danger of condition, you act. You don't argue. Right, sir? Now, the question is, do you see the danger? If you don't, why? Look, the danger of ambition, right? The politician trying to govern the people politely, but tremendously ambitious to come on top of the heap. There was a prime minister who spoke at a union, saying, a union of students, said, don't be ambitious. You understand? The joke of it. Because he's right on top and says, don't be ambitious. But we don't see the danger of ambition, which is to have power, which is to have position. Right? If you saw the immense danger of it, it's finished. You don't argue, you don't say, well, what happens after if you have no ambition? You have no ambition because you are intelligent. Right, sir? So, we are asking, why don't you see the immense danger of being held within a small, narrow space, which is our condition? Why don't you? Does it? You must have an accident, event, disastrous event. Then you say, by Jove, I'll give it up. That means you are waiting for an external event to take place and shake you, which means give you a great deal of pain and sorrow, and say, yes, I understand it now. Which means you are not intelligent. You are waiting for an incident to make you intelligent. But no event can make you intelligent. Got it? You understand it? So, you see, I'll go into a little further. One realizes, if you're serious, I hope you're all serious till now, one realizes that one is conditioned. And one realizes the danger of it. Logical. Then you say to yourself, how am I to give it up? How am I to break down the narrow walls which I have created, which civil culture has created, and so on, so on. How am I to break, how is the mind to break down this? Right? I don't know, so I come to you. I say, please, how am I to break this? Listen carefully. And you begin assuming that you're a great man or the guru or this or that. He says, I'll tell you what to do. That is, right? Do this, do this, do this, do this, and you'll break it. Which means, again, I'm depending on the external person to tell me what to do, right? So I realize the stupidity of going to another to help me to break down the walls which I have built around myself. Right? So what am I to do? Are you in that position? What am I to do to break down this wall which I have built, society has built, and society is my relationship with another? So I have built it. It is my desire, my ambition, my sensations, my will that has built this enormous, limited prison. Now what am I to do? I realize whatever positive act I do about it is still the action of a mind, a thought, which is limited. Whatever I do. You understand? I hope you're following this. Or is it time or getting tired? No, it's not. I've got another 10 minutes. So I realize it's no good depending on another. The other may be guru, the priest, or the idea that you are surrender yourself to all that nonsense. So what am I to do? My conditioning is, please listen to it. My conditioning is to do something about it. I have been to the priest, I've been to the guru, I've been to the professor, to the analyst, which is again doing something about it. Or I say, well, no, it's too troublesome, I'll leave it alone. What the heck does it matter? Right? But if I don't, my conditioning is to act. I'm positive in that action. At least I feel I'm doing something about it, which is part of my conditioning, my culture, my tradition, my education. And here is a man comes along and tells me, don't do anything. You understand? Don't do a thing. Because he has told, I've realized that positive action is totally inaction. Whereas to be with it and not act. I know I'm conditioned, I won't act, but I will watch. Understand? Watching, alert, aware. And I see every response is from that condition. I observe, I don't do anything. So when there is non-positive action, you don't give energy to the condition. That dies by itself when you don't give it a push or suppress it or run away from it. But when you are aware of it and don't act, because that's the most, you realize non-action is intelligence. Action is unintelligent. You follow this? So if you do this, I mean, if this takes place, it's all over. That's why we talked about the other day, positive and action, which is what is happening in the world. Russia says, I must build an armament stronger than America. You follow? And every country is being supplied by them, and they're fighting, which is to take positive action to position. I'm bigger than you. When I said, see all this, the stupidity of man, right? See it and leave it alone. Then the leaving it alone is intelligence which will act, which is unconditional. It's not. So let's talk about conditioning. As the gentleman pointed out just now, we went to a certain extent and we were rather driven off our course.
We have a
Like that
crisis in
gentleman
the
asked,
world.
I've listened to you for a number of years and there's nothing. I must tell you a lovely story about this. A pupil goes to a teacher
Tremendous crisis.
and says,
And
teach
also
me what is
crisis in our consciousness, in us. I
true.
see the urgency.
Stay with me.
Change.
We'll have a
You teach
conversation
me
about the universe, about the beauty of
Have a
things.
crisis in the world.
We'll
Tremendous.
talk, and perhaps you will see through. So the teacher talks to him every day and goes into various things. At the end of 15 years, he says, Master,
Dubey sir,
I've lived with you for 15 years, watched you, listened to you, see you how you act, do
Some
this.
problem
do
with
that.
it? Some
But I haven't
problem
got
with this video?
I don't know how to stop it. I don't know.
So I'm
Oh,
leaving.
yeah.
sharing
That's
stop कर दीजिए sir.
Few miles further away, where
या
I've
फिर
got
leave-
to learn from
या फिर
him.
लीव कर दीजिए, लीव करके वापस ज्वाइन कर लीजिए.
The teacher says, certainly.
That will be better, sir.
So he's
I think it's okay now. Sorry,
Ah,
sir.
yeah.
Sorry for
Okay.
this problem.
It's okay.
Yes, Harshad bhai, please. And then Dinesh Waghmare.
Yes, are you able to hear my voice?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dubeji. We all are conditioned by our country, nationality, religion, and Krishnamurti was also conditioned, but at a young age, he had traveled to other countries like England and other countries, and he had many foreigner friends, and so he was able to think about this problem of conditioning. But people like me, I was born in India, and I lived in India for many years, and I was brought up with this sense that I am Hindu, and I was listening to all patriotic songs, and I felt very much attached to India is my country. And so this happens to almost all people who live in one country, and they are unconsciously, they begin to feel that they belong to this country, this religion, this race. And so it is very natural. In my case also, I was lucky that I could go outside India and face many problems, and then which prevented me, because of this my conditioning, to meet people of many different nationalities and religion. So, but still, I did not question. Only when I read Krishnamurti book, then I begin to feel that yes, we are human beings. We are not Indian or American or Chinese. We are human beings. And I begin to really see it within myself. And then I begin to open up to people of many different nationalities, religion, lived with them, So this conditioning, nationalistic condition, it is very dangerous because it makes countries fight with each other, like India and Pakistan, and also religious conditioning, Hindu and Muslim. This is very dangerous. If Pakistan was not a Muslim country, probably there would have been no wars. And there's a racial conditioning, like in America, black and white people, they are different race, and there is always a lot of conflict, and killing goes on in the name of race. So it is possible, I feel, for an individual to really go deeper into what Krishnamurti is saying and see this, how this conditioning is preventing us to meet the whole world with an open mind. It is possible for an individual, but I don't think that it is possible for the whole country. And people, there will be always this conditioning will exist as long as people are not enlightened, as long as they have not thought about this. And one needs to suffer because of this problem, like I suffered because of conditioning. And then one needs to be alone, and one needs to be very sensitive. One needs to look inward and see all this what Krishnamurti is saying. So it requires sensitivity, it requires aloneness, it requires the freedom to ask and listen to one's own self. So it is possible to be free at the individual level, but as a country, it is very difficult. And so this danger remains even now, even after many years of Krishnamurti passing away. The world has not changed, and I doubt it will change. But for individuals, some individuals who have the ability to go deeper within themselves, they may be free. It is possible. Okay, so I have said enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Dinesh ji.
Are you able to listen to me, sir?
Yes, yes, yes.
Already Harshad sir has pointed out some of the issues in becoming free from the conditioning. And JK asked so many questions in this dialogue. And we have discussed enough time about the conditioning. Now, before becoming free from conditioning, one has to address some more questions. Is conditioning that dangerous in actuality? Number one. Number two, why conditioning comes, or what is the need of conditioning? Of course, for security and the other polarity, power, which Krishnamurti has also mentioned, ambition, etc. Now leave aside ambition. Consider development or evolution of mankind. Is it required for that or not? Even we see in animal kingdom, there is a tendency for power. So it is also to be seen. Next question. Can conditioning be broken as good and bad? In this dialogue, JK said no. Similarly, can it be broken as technological and psychological? We say technological is a must. So this is also to be seen. Next question. The conditioning also related to pleasure and pain. So can one be detached from both? It automatically means detachment from the worldly affairs, which really which a real monk or selfless karma yogi can do, but whether a common man can do, this is to be seen. Next question. Now conditioning is also depends on outer conditions. Say in corrupt society, you have to get a work done. So can the work done without this conditioning? Or say in conditions like Ukraine, can one live without conditioning? That is to be seen. If no psychological conditioning, then it automatically becomes mechanical action with indifference, no sensitivity. So this also has to be seen. So in my views, these questions can be addressed only by a person with high maturity and wisdom, with intelligence coming into the picture. Harshad sir has also pointed out that individual can do this, but he is also having doubts about the society. So these are my views. In this dialogue, Krishnamurti has also said that don't give energy to conditioning. Now, what is this phenomenon of energy? That is also has to be seen. Unless one goes to that deeper level, I don't think one can be so easily free from conditioning. JK himself has pointed out in this, in answering to that lady, is it, can you drop it? Is it so simple? So these questions are to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Shakti ji.
सर मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
Yes. You see, this question of conditioning is, I feel it that it is not that we cannot be free of conditioning, but the thing is that we want to be free of selective conditionings. And that means that there is no real willingness to go much deeper into it. Because what Krishnamurti is saying, I feel that is not for, again and again he has said that it is not for some chosen people or some specific, but it needs diligence. And when I look at my life, I see that there are certain conditionings with which I am attached, and there are certain conditionings which are painful. So it is not possible to be free of painful conditionings and keep the pleasant conditionings. So there one has to work, or one has to see it within oneself, because Krishnamurti is very clear about it. And this conditioning, perhaps in the ancient literature here, they use the word vasanas. So that is my feeling, that somewhere the willingness is lacking. I'm talking about myself, willingness to go fully into it. Only partial willingness seems to be there, but I wish it would be, a deeper willingness. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shakti. I think I agree with all the three statements that I think being aware of the conditionings, and to start with being aware of any one conditioning which I feel that has become very dominant and is creating happiness or problem, any one conditioning, and being aware and looking into it deeply without the effort to remove it or continue with it. I think then only there will be flow of energy. And I think being totally aware of any particular conditioning is perhaps the beginning of freedom. So I don't know what is that stage when you have no conditioning at all. I think people like Krishnaji would have perhaps that state, or many other people who have really gone deeply into all this. But for us who have to live a daily life, like Dinesh talked about, external influences where you have to act in order to survive. But I think things where we feel that I must look into it, why I'm feeling this way. If there is an interest, and if I'm really diligently pursuing it, then there is a possibility of freedom. This is what I wanted to add. Yes. Yes, Verma sir.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I couldn't join. I joined very late, very late. I had some electricity problems. But then a very simple things I have to share. All are differently conditioned. Each one has to see his, her conditioning. This shows the environmental influences that include words, language, economic conditions, societal divisions, inheritance, relationship problems. And these things isolate us even within a family to various degrees. You see, we cannot undermine these things. These are very, very, very important factors that you can categorize as physical and this thing and biological and psychological, but each one of them affects psychology. Each one affects each one and very deeply. So still individuality is denied, even knowing and understanding nobody can give it to you, right? Nobody can give it to you. Why? You are the world. Yes, you are the world is correct also, but practically speaking, as we live in our daily life, you don't become, you are isolated because of the factors which I have enumerated, some of them only, each affecting human psychology. Personally, I feel that by segregating certain things, environment is not that important, and like that, it doesn't work. Everything is affected. Even after this quantum mechanics, quantum philosophy of quantum mechanics, still connectivity is, you are not the world, you are the universe. It's a fact, you are the universe. But then practically in 24 hours, our lives, daily lives, we are all that which are troubling differently to different people. We can't say that. And I don't know, although Shakti ji is very optimistic about and very positive about that, one can uncondition himself, one uncondition. Thousands of everything. In fact, every day you are conditioned, partly knowing, partly not knowing. So this conditioning is a continuous process. Like that, myself, the little self, you may deny that there is no individual, you are the world and all that. But actually, honestly, factually, when I see my life daily, moment to moment, giving enough time to whatever is happening to me, my thinking and all that, family, friends, everything, we are strongly, there is nothing wrong in it saying that you are the individual. There is absolutely, at times, JK himself said, you are individual and collective. Okay, this is understandable. This is understandable. So if, as long as we go on fragmenting, always negating certain points intellectually, I will say intellectually because I am working with my mind only, I don't know beyond that. So we have to see factually what is happening to me. And I don't think any one of us can deny these things affecting him daily. So simply unconditioning, saying that, and most of the conditions, people like, that is the beauty. We are talking as if you want to be free of conditionings. No, some of them give definite advantage to people. And each sect is enjoying those beliefs and blind faiths and all that. They are enjoying it. So there are hardly very few people who are well off in a way, who can think beyond these things, beyond normal food, shelter, and clothing and all that, who are well off. They start thinking about these questions. So that's why we don't find a change that was expected out of such truthful statements throughout centuries. So this is what I feel, sir. I don't know. We can go on discussing like this, and we have been doing it, but facts remain there. I remain as mostly individual, becoming this and that. And this is a shifting eye. The beautiful thing is the latest. If you see the latest theories of critical realism, meta-reality on that, when the duality is supported by non-duality at the base, all those things are telling how it becomes so difficult to take up these issues. These issues are still unsettled even till today. Why? Having such a beautiful, all very sincere people, honest, I think they know what they are doing, but still these things are being questioned even now with the same fervor. I don't know. So this is what I feel, Sir Dubeji. I don't know, this is my feeling that as long as we go on discussing individual, collective, this group, that, everything in the environment, which includes minded, JK himself said, word is environment, words are environment. So imagine what not affects us daily in our daily life. What unconditioning we are thinking of, imagining, and non-verbal communication, non-verbal seeing. Do you think seeing a tree will solve our problems? Not a single discourse has happened where the tree has not been mentioned. As if, how do you know that this is a tree? This itself is knowledge. At least you know that it is tree. What type of tree? What type of leaves, colors, all those things will start automatically if you are interested in trees, if you are interested in biological flora, fauna, and all those things, automatically your interest takes into that detail. But this is what is happening, but we are I think we are discussing in a very superficial way, in a way. To me, you can always say that you are wrong. It is not that. So this is what I feel, Dubeji. Thank you very much. This is what although I have not attended fully, but sorry, I could say these things because these were in my mind all through. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Varmari. I think I couldn't agree less than what you have said. Or I think that is the situation we are all in. But in our daily life, this is also a fact that when I get aware about anything, deeply aware in that sense of what Kay talks about, it gives me a different perfume. It may be a very short-lived moment, but it gives me a different sense of the whole being. So I think by these dialogues and reading Krishna's talks or hearing to him or reading his writings and so on, it compels me to look back at my own life and look at myself. Otherwise, we are all busy in our daily life and it becomes purely an academic interest. But if I take any one issue of what Kay has talked about and bring it to my life and see what he's saying is true or not, can I test it out in my life? I think that is the whole purpose of these teachings. And it depends on our capability, our intelligence, our integrity and truthfulness as to how far we can go on this. But I totally agree with you that these are, in a different level. There is no denying this. Yes, you want to say something? Yes.
Yes, sir, because certain facts, even if you know that I am partial, the brain is partial, thought is partial, and we are always talking about the whole. You see, seeing holistically, part seeing holistically. So with our partiality or whatever it is, we have our limitations.
with those limitations, you want to see whole, whether I am in that whole only. First thing is I know it, I am in the whole only. So what are we trying for the impossible? Are we trying for the impossible with that fragment? Because if you talk that German philosopher and all those Gestalt therapy, Gestalt seeing whole behavior, and which cannot be divided into constituents and they cannot be joined together as whole. All those things, if you these are facts, because if you notice, these must be facts. All are important points to be considered. So we talk always, and then clarity. Another very beautiful thing is, what is clarity and who certifies that? You see, seeing it very clearly. Who sees? Seeing it very clearly. Clearly does what? Seeing things as they are. But who will certify my seeing clearly?
Sir,
So-
nobody will certify all this. You are the one who will give the certificate, nobody else.
No, nobody can say. Nobody can question it whether you are able to see clearly or not.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that conditionality is there. If this happens, then you can see clearly. So these things are there. That is what I feel. Thank you, sir. Thank you giving me enough time.
Thank you, thank you.
Perhaps life is to live,
Yes, yes.
not to understand, not to give so much stress and strain on yourself and then trying to understand it. It is not like that, perhaps.
Unmute, Dinesh ji, unmute.
Sir, after listening to Verma ji and after discussing so many times this conditioning, my question is, despite of all this conditioning remaining or some of the conditioning remaining, can we touch that dimension which JK has mentioned, which is timeless or which is immeasurable or etc. etc. This
I
question
think
is
you should-
addressed to Harshad sir.
This question you should put that question to yourself, and all of us should put it to ourselves. Nobody can answer it for somebody else. Yes, Kamlesh ji.
Sir, one has to realize some conditionings which are giving problem to him. Basically, as Sushil ji has said, life is to be lived, and life is not to be lived in partiality. One has to live life in completeness. So we have to see what is giving trouble to us. Some conditioning which are giving trouble to us. If one is very serious, then he can attend to that particular conditioning, and if he attends it completely, then he will see that he will be free from that. It is possible, sir. It is possible, sir.
Thank you, Kamlesh ji. Yes, Harshad bhai.
Yes, I like to say that as long as we are thinking and so much intellect involved, thinking, then we cannot feel that wholeness. But only while a question, suppose a person is asking how vital that question is, and that question can stop the mind, and one can feel that there is nothing, there is no one who says he is clear, but there is a clarity. So there is no sense of I or me in looking at everything. So this question, who says about clarity, it is an intellectual question, I think. As long as a person has not felt that dimension in which there is no self, only looking. such a person will not ask question. He will just look. So our many problems are arising because of so much intellect is involved. And with that divisive mind, we are asking questions. Another thing I want to say about conditioning is that there is other kind of conditioning like food. We are used to certain kind of food. And then when we go to some other place and the food is different, then we find it difficult. I would say Krishnamurti ate only vegetarian food. So it was a kind of a conditioning, I would say. And economic condition we have when people who are very rich and they have to live with poverty, then it becomes very difficult to live with poverty. So, of course, there are this kind of conditioning may exist, but still, I would say that there is a possibility to look at nature, at human beings, at our own thinking very, very clearly, without this asking many questions. Okay, I have finished. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Verma, please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. So again and again, we are simply all questions and the difficult ones can always be put in the category of intellectualism, you see, but that is not the end of it. Why? What happened? Why all these problems of war, societal problems, and sufferings of all types of sufferings? Everybody, I can see, Buddha could see, JK could see, all of us can see that. There is nothing, seeing doesn't require thinking. Of course, if you are a sensitive person, seeing doesn't require. But afterwards, how to commune, how to communicate that even JK agreed that words are necessary to communicate. Then when the questions are difficult, can we simply put them as intellectual? Rest of it is subjective. And subjectivity can hardly be communicated. So simply all the time, all the hard questions cannot be put as intellectualism. This is what I feel. This is what I've seen. All the question, otherwise things would have been very different in the society. At times we say, only individual can be improved, but I can't do anything for the society. I can't change it. I can't. And then at times JK used to say, if one person gets transformation, it is conveyed to all non-verbally, not all, but a number of around that fellow, it can be communicated. But those problems which necessitated the transformation of consciousness, right? That has not happened. That has not happened. Intellect, which part of brain, which part of mind will think about, and then thinking has become sacrilege. You know, you can't think, thinking is not required, thought is not required. Then what will transform? Feelings, I have enough feelings. Almost everything that JK enjoyed, I enjoy as my job. You see, for 50 years, I was in biological research with plants, trees, this and that, flora, fauna, everything I have enjoyed. I know how it feels how to see things. This happens. Naturally, I know that, how to see. But certain solutions as they are given, that it is, yes, it is possible to, when we give such statements, then certain questions automatically emerge in us, because I am a very sensitive person, I know it. And sensitivity is the most important thing. Even awareness before consciousness gets content, awareness is there already. Then we talk of awakening of intelligence at times as if it is very cryptic, and this doesn't happen all the time. Awareness can be all the time or not. So these things are being questioned. We can't put all the difficult questions as intellectual. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sorry for saying this, Harshad.
Thank you very much, Verma.
Rama Rao, sir.
Thank you very much. Rama Rao.
Sir, my question is to Shakti ji. Is available now?
Shakti is available.
Yeah. The question is that you say what you mentioned absolutely true to me, because that conditioning, it is there, but some part of the conditioning which is troubling me want to make it empty, but some conditioning which I like, which is embedded, which is giving me very pleasant, I want to keep it. This drama is going on. So here I mean to say that whatever I see with the seeing on the basis of this this intellectually, this thought, this observation, this conditioning, it goes on. Kindly correct me if any. Shakti ji.
Shakti ji, please unmute and say.
Yes, sir. You see, when I was talking about problematic conditionings and pleasant conditioning, I can give this example. For example, there is a conditioning of listening, half not listening. And this thing, if one realizes that, yes, if I am half listening, I'm keep thinking something inside me, then I'm not listening. And then one can see that one can be free of that conditioning which makes one not listening. One can unlearn not listening. But then there are pleasant things. For example, I want to think about pleasant events in my life. And then that I don't want to lose. But they are also, as Krishnaji once said, that memories are rubbish. So I am enjoying something which is dead. But since I'm attached to that, so that conditioning I am holding on. What I am trying to say is that it is not that we cannot be aware. I see that I don't want to be aware about certain things. About certain things, I want to be aware. This is not an inability, but unwillingness. Just that I wanted to say. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I got the point.
Thanks. Is there anybody else wanted to say something? Rama Rao, you still wanted to raise hand?
No, it's over, sir. I got the point.
Thank you. Is there anything more left on this?
Sir, covered. If anybody wants to say something about conditioning or how it can be removed, then
enough has been said. Kamlesh, enough has been said about conditioning and clarity. Even to that extent that clarity is to be confused by clarity itself. So I don't think that anybody else has. Prasad sir wanted to say. Prasad
sir, Kamlesh ji has not spoken.
Please,
sir, Kamlesh ji has not spoken.
Sir, he has spoken.
I have spoken, sir.
Prasad, forgive me. He has spoken. Please, you say yourself. Prasad, come forward.
Sir, I feel encouraged by your comment that clarity itself gets confused by clarity. because we are discussing so much.
Yeah.
The things are lost in words, and my feeling is conditioning, we are all conditioned. The first thing is, if we realize that we are conditioned, that itself possibly opens the gate to freedom, freedom from conditioning. So the first thing is we must recognize really, not simply because Krishnaji has said, but we must realize that we are all conditioned. And as Harshadji has said, even food is a conditioning factor, but it need not bother us too much because climate, food, I mean the dress we wear, etc. These are all small matters, but more complicated matters are your belief, your nationalism. These are the things, your ideology, etc. They are the real factors that really condition us. And one thing about conditioning is, one signpost is that when we live in conflict, when we experience conflict, and all of us can recognize conflict when we are in conflict. So when we experience conflict, we must realize that, yes, it is due to some conditioning factor in us. Otherwise, the engine is running smoothly, it won't make noise. The noise comes when the engine is not running smoothly. There is something wrong with the running of the engine. Like that, in our life, when we have conflict with our neighbor or wife or husband or servant or boss, etc., when there is a conflict, I think we can, we should see, we should analyze ourselves to see what is that factor which is creating that conflict. So conditioning is recognizable. And the trouble is, everybody thinks the other man is conditioned. I don't think I am conditioned. I think Sushilji is conditioned. So this is normal. For everybody thinks the shoe is on the other foot, you know. That is all, sir. Thank you.
Harshad sir.
Yeah, may I say something?
Yes,
Please conclude it now, sir.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes, there is a story about a fisherwoman, and she had to sleep in a garden where there were lots of flowers and very beautiful fragrance, but she was not getting sleep because she was used to the smell of fish. So only when these fish were brought close to her, and when she smelled fish, then only she could sleep. So what it means that we get used to certain way of living, and then it becomes very difficult to break through. Like to be a Hindu, and then when we have to go to a country where majority are Muslim, then it would be very difficult. And so to really give up this ideology which we have acquired about a nationality or religion or race or culture, it is possible, I would say, for an individual, if that individual has a sensitivity to really go very deep and come to a state where there is no thinking, there is that you feel that you are a human being, you are not a Hindu or American or Chinese, but you are a human being. And it is possible, I would say. But people who have lived only in one country, in a particular community, it would be very difficult. Only when they go out, they suffer, they begin to think, then and they read a book like Krishnamurti, what he says, then I think it is possible to break through this religious, nationalistic, cultural conditioning, and one can adjust in any place in the world. Uh, when a person feels really that he is a human being and the other people are also human being, but it's not possible for the whole society to be like that. For an individual, it is possible, I would say. And Krishnamurti's teachings or all these spiritual teachings are meant for individuals, not for the transformation of society. It is for individual transformation. And then that may affect some few people around. So that is what I feel. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, can I ask a question to Harshad sir and Prasad sir? Is it really the conditioning is problem, or love for power, our ill intentions, or vested interest, or out of proportion ambition is a problem?
Harshadji will answer.
Yeah, the problem arises when there is a conflict, when you are not able to live fully, and you feel that kind of division that I am a Hindu and he is a Muslim or a Christian. That kind of division, as long as it exists, then how one can live peacefully. So, but I would say that it's possible to live with Muslims. I have shared apartments with people of many Christians as well as Muslims, as well as Americans and Mexican and Iranian and Egyptian. I have lived with all these people. And because I felt that I'm a human being. Okay, I'll finish.
Shakti
Sir,
ji, could you please say something? Let Shakti ji say first and then comment.
okay.
Yes, sir. This, I think, conditioning is a real problem, but we have to understand the meaning of this word conditioning, because it started with this Pavlov's experiments with dog. So at a time when he was giving food to the dog, he was ringing a bell also. And then these two got connected. And later on, when he was only ringing the bell, there was saliva dropping from the dog's mouth. So that somewhat is that if I am hungry, really hungry, that's not conditioning. But if I eat at 1 o'clock and today is I see in the watch, and even if I'm not hungry, I feel hungry, that is conditioning. So conditioning is something illusory. And I think that is the basic problem that we all face. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Shakti ji. Is there anything more somebody wanted to say on this?
Yes,
Sir, one note.
Yes, sir.
One small word.
Yeah, Prasad, continue. Prasad, continue, and then I will leave it to Waghmare. So let him finish whatever he wanted to say.
Waghmare has, Mr. Waghmare has said, is it our greed, our power, hunger for power, etc., are they conditioning, or is there something else called, which can be termed as conditioning? For that, sir, you see, I don't think greed and hunger for power, etc., they can be called conditioning. They are what they are. Greed is greed. And as the Shakti ji has said, conditioning is from that Pavlov's experiments. That is, you ring a bell and give food. So whenever the bell rings, the dog comes for food. It associates something. Conditioning is of that type. The other thing is greed, etc. They are, we know what they are. Thank you, sir. That's all.
Waghmare, please come forward and say whatever you wanted to say.
It is very evident.
Let Waghmare
from,
say first. Please let Waghmare
Yes.
say. You speak for 2 minutes, please, and then we will
Okay,
finish
okay.
it.
So it is very evident from Shakti sir's statement and Prasad sir's statement that the conditioning is based on the nature environment. Means whatever the environment has been given to the dogs, they behave like that. So conditioning is also a part of natural process. Now, as Prasad sir said, greed and all these things. So they seems to be the real cause, and they are because of the individuality, and because of individuality only the conflict arises, as Harshad sir was pointing out about the conflict. So as long as individuality is there, conflict will be there. So we have to really go into deep and again view the whole issue totally. Thank you.
Thank you. It is already 7:30. We finish it now. Kamlesh, please finish it.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
We are waiting for you, Waghmare, at 6 o'clock in the Sunday. Sunday
Okay,
evening.
sir.
Sunday evening, please do.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thanks to all.
Thanks.
Thanks to all
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
Thank you,
for
everybody.
conditioning us by conditioning.
Okay.